Hello and welcome to Now Spinning Magazine with me, Phil Aston. And this is a review of the new Bon Jovi album, Legendary. This is my 21st Bon Jovi album. I have all the others, every single one of them. I've counted them up this morning. There are 20 Bon Jovi albums in my collection. And now with this one, I have 21. And I also have the 100 million Bon Jovi fans can't be wrong as well, box set, etc. So, what are my thoughts? There's going to be a lot of people talking about this, aren't there? And I know people tuning in for me to the first time will just say, just give me the facts, Phil. Do you like it or not? What do you think of it? You know me. I kind of interweave coming out with the answers as I go along with my story, because it will be an honest story. And of course, any review like this, I need to kind of dip in to why I like Bon Jovi and why I've looked forward to this so much. I've seen this posted. I saw this posted on a Facebook group for people who just collect CDs, and someone just said, really looking forward to playing this. And there must have been about 275 comments, and I think 90% of them were negative. Basically, just running down Bon Jovi on anything they'd ever done, saying that they just, didn't like the band. And I don't understand that, because obviously the band is incredibly popular and very, very successful. I first became aware of the band when I was myself in a band trying to, move forwards into the world of rock music. And I heard this album. And yeah, Runaway was a typical da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I mean, so many rock songs start with that kind of figure on keyboards, don't they? But it wasn't that. It was how the album sounded. Roulette, what a riff and breakout, etc. The next album in was kind of like not quite as good. And I remember being in the band I was with at the time, and we were all kind of like looking around what's going on in America, what's going on in the UK. We're going to, and someone walked in with the next album, Slippery When Wet, and I said, should we put this on? See what we're up against. And I remember the first track starting with the drums and the shouted, ginormous vocal aspects, and then we all looked at each other and afterwards went, should we just go down the pub? I think we knew then it was possibly game over. I remember us being in the offices of Warner Brothers about a year later, we almost got through, and we kind of were mentioning bands that we thought we were better than. And the guy from Warner Brothers said, so how do you compare to Van Halen and Bon Jovi? And we go, well, we're not as good as them. And the guy from Warner Brothers said, so why aren't you? Because we kind of just saw them as like, well, we're good, but obviously they're from a different planet. What I'm trying to get at is that Bon Jovi were massive, and I think that what a lot of people forget is just how hard, John Bon Jovi worked to do this. Like many successful bands, the person at the helm, they're not democracies. There's always somebody who leads, and he led this band. And if you watch that 4-part documentary on the Disney Channel, it will give you an insight to what goes on behind the bloke, the man, Bon Jovi. The struggles he's had with his voice and how he's changed as a person. There's a video DVD in this box set where he comes across as a bit arrogant, as if like, thinking he's like the dog's doodahs and everything he ever does. And I can imagine with success, elements of that come along. But in this new documentary, he's more humble, he's more vulnerable, because he's really struggled in the last few years with his voice. Which brings me to the review of this album, because what comes across is the genuine nature of the songs. And I say many times that we live in dark times. I turn the news on in the UK, wherever you are in the world probably, and it's pretty bleak, isn't it? This is an album that just lifts your spirits. This is anthemic, it is cinematic, it is punch the air choruses, it is marvellous. there are many touch points, but I'll go through when I go through the tracks in a minute. But Have a Nice Day is a great album. These Days is a great album. Obviously, Slippery When Wet and New Jersey and Keep the Faith, all these classic albums. And there were times when he kind of deviated into more kind of almost countryish kind of REM territory. And that didn't take everybody with him. But one thing I'll say is that when grunge came along, when the early 90s came along and rock and roll, rock music, heavy metal was literally kicked in the shins and it collapsed under the sheer weight of the hairspray that most of the bands were wearing and the trousers and the leg warmers and all the rest of it. Most of those bands then struggled to find an audience through the 90s and beyond that. And the kind of audiences they played in front of were vastly smaller than where they were in the 80s. For Bon Jovi, it didn't even... I don't think they even got wet or slippery. They just carried on. And their kind of status as a band in selling out stadiums and doing 3-hour sets just carried on all the way through the 90s and carried on for every decade since. Their light did not dim. And they surely gave value for money with a catalogue of songs which is absolutely awesome. So how does this album stack up? It opens with Legendary. You must have seen the video by now. John and the band in a cornfield strumming the guitars and everything. It's a classic Bon Jovi anthemic punch the air chorus. That rally cry that they do with all the vocals coming in at once. It's absolutely superb. It's life affirming. It's storytelling. It's about diving into where you are in your life, where you are now. There is a kind of misty-eyed, nostalgia-based feel to it, but it's based in the here and now. And it's about looking forwards and looking back to what you've done with your life, but seeing that the best is yet to come. All the woes, the vocals, the fist thumping kind of punch the air stuff. It's kind of grown up. It's saying we're older, we're wiser, but we're still rocking. It's an absolutely great track, and it's one of my favourites from the album. We Made It Look Easy is autobiographical. It's about the band and the fact that how they made it and how hard it was and how they grafted. But of course, to everyone else, it just looked easy. 1 minute they're just doing Runaway, and the next minute they're playing stadiums and going around on wires and doing MTV videos that basically are in constant rotation. They made it look easy. It's kind of the idea it talks about being 17 and what it was like and what they were trying to do. It's upbeat. It's a great song. It's about following your dreams. It's about the work behind the dream to make that happen. It's a fast song. Your foot will not be able to stop tapping. It's storytelling. It's got a great kind of, short guitar motif at the end that's really just finds itself into your brain. It's just fantastic. The third one is probably my favourite track off the album, and I guess for many people it will be the same for you as well. It's called Living Proof. It uses the voice box like Living on a Prayer. It's hard rocking. It's an great strident 4/4 rhythm. It's just amazing. It's the best song on the album, and it's one of my favourite rock songs of the year so far. It's a great chorus, fist thumping, superb drums, great production. It's just a great riff as well. So it's one of these songs where the vocalist, John, sings the verse, one line, riff comes back. Another line, riff comes back. A classic kind of way of putting together a really good rock song. Then we have the pre-chorus, it builds up, and then we dive into the main chorus. It's just fantastic. It's a sing-along track. You'll find yourself humming to it. It's got a great guitar solo in it. Just superb. The next one is called Waves, and this is a slow guitar kind of picking at the beginning, and then it starts like it's going to be a ballad, and then it pulls back, and John comes in. It's another heartfelt chorus, great guitar playing, soaring production. It is a rock ballad. Some nice power chords, great songwriting, superb solo. It's nostalgic, but it's looking forwards. It has an element of Blaze of Glory to it. And I'll mention a couple of other things where I think John dips into the past of his own past and also dips into other areas as well. But it does have a Blaze of Glory feel to it on the choruses. But it's a great track. Track 5 is called Seeds, and this is a fast 4/4 rhythm. When I say this, they use this a lot. It's kind of, so they're fast songs, but they're kind of, it's mainly driven by the drums. So the backing's light, it pulls back and slows down for the chorus, upbeat, positive, get up, get out, move forwards. Wonderful melody, great guitar solo. This is one of the first tracks with strings on, and the strings really add to the cinematic feel of the music. The feel of the chorus, the way it moves towards the climax of the song, and it's really dramatic. Again, classic Bon Jovi, and consistent. I'll be honest, many of the albums sitting in my pile of Bon Jovi albums here have kind of been like, stop, start, might play that one more than that one, forgotten what that one's all about, can't remember that one. Already I knew that we're dealing with something very different here. Also, the vulnerability of what John is doing with the lyrics is different. It's storytelling, but the story this time is about John. The next one is Kiss the Bride. And this one actually almost made me tear up a bit, because this is about him giving away his daughter at her wedding. And it's a beautiful, beautiful ballad with strings. The words are just meant for his daughter, and we're sharing this. As fans, as music fans, as listeners, we are sharing this moment as John lays this down. A lovely kind of nylon guitar solo in it as well. It's just beautiful. The People's House is track number 7. This has a real keep the faith feel, mainly in the drums, the bass and drums in the rhythm. Lots of jangly guitars, lush production, huge feel to it. Very much, to me, like Southside Johnny and the Asbury Dukes. I don't know if I've got this around me, have I? Probably not. Oh, I have. I'm a huge Southside Johnny fan. This album, I'm bringing this in because I feel it's relevant, called Better Days. Steve Van Zandt wrote a lot of the music, produced it. But Bon Jovi are on this. The whole band is on this. And what I love about this album is it's kind of going full circle to where John started when he was inspired by Southside Johnny and Bruce Springsteen, and how close he's become to the New Jersey ethic of this groundbreaking era of music and storytelling from the streets and real stuff, real characters. And this is one of those tracks that has this Southside Johnny feel to it. And I think where John is moving where he is in his life, his age, and the issues he's had with his voice, he's relaxing back. He doesn't have anything to prove. You don't prove anything to someone who belongs to a CD group on Facebook. Whatever the people feel, he's making music because this is what he feels in his heart. And all the members of the band are behind this. And I love this song. It has a real Southside Johnny feel. It's got a real earworm chorus as well. It will just dive into your brain, and it will sit there when you're going outside, sitting in the garden or going around the shops. It will just suddenly pop up. It's a great groove as you move towards the end of the song as well. Walls of Jericho is track number 8. It starts with the chorus with just the drums. It's upbeat. It's almost rock and roll. A bit of Tom Petty again, kind of bit of Bruce Springsteen in there. Southside Johnny again with the chorus. Really feel good, and another earworm song. There are so many tracks on here. As soon as I finished playing this, I just got up and pressed repeat play. And I haven't done that with a Bon Jovi album for a long time, to be honest. The next one is track 9, I Wrote You a Song. And this is another one of those kind of, I think this one and Kiss the Bride might even be weddings in a few years with string quartets. So I've warned my wife she maybe should pay attention to this track, because she might need to arrange it for string quartet. I Wrote You a Song is a ballad about John's wife. It's a very sparse backing. It's great production, again strings and a lovely slide solo as well. Living in Paradise, I'll just double check that what I'm about to say I've got it right. I'm sure I have, but I just want to make sure, because it's who co-wrote this one that's interesting. Yes, this one has been co-written by Ed Sheeran. So that's a writing partnership, which was a first, and perhaps one you didn't expect. But it's an absolutely stonking song. Again, this fast 4/4 rhythm. And for those of you who have kind of glazed over with Ed Sheeran, he's a great songwriter. He's very successful. And this song is fantastic. It's a typical upbeat John Bon Jovi chorus, fast picking on the guitar, big guitars, but everything lets the song breathe. These aren't they're not distorted heavy metal power chords. There are tracks where you could imagine, chug, 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 a downward pick on the plectrum of a really distorted guitar moving through the tracks, and the drums and the bass are doing that, but without the heaviness here. And I think this is what makes the song really breathe. So you can imagine these songs being far heavier than they actually are, but this isn't where they are now. But this works really well for me. The chorus pulls back a bit. It could, as I said in my notes, it could be a very heavy song, but they've chosen to take it in a different direction. But it's a great song. It really is. The next one is probably my third favourite track on the album. I like them all, but Legendary, Living Proof, and this one, My First Guitar, is superb. This starts as an acoustic guitar, and again it's got this fast 4/4 rhythm on the percussion. It slows down for the chorus, and there is, and see if anyone else notices, there is a slight dip into the ghost of I'm in Love with My Car by Queen on the chorus. Just lasts long enough for that phrase, but it's definitely there. He's talking about playing his guitar when he was really young, about listening to old Kiss songs. It's looking back. It's got a great solo. It's got lovely piano playing as well. And then it builds, and it just builds up, and it moves into this more evocative and emotive end. And the guitar solo here is melodic. It's on right on target. The notes are just perfect. This is just beautiful. Great guitar playing. It's a wonderful, wonderful song. Love it. And the final one is called Hollow Man. And this starts with an almost ambient kind of feel amongst the keyboards and guitars as it fades in. It's a ballad. It's kind of drenched in reverb. It's kind of like, I might have preferred a more kind of upbeat song to finish. When I say upbeat, I don't mean vocal-wise or lyrically, but just musically, maybe to kind of finish how we started. But nevertheless, it fits in well. It's a great song. And then we're done. And we are 48 minutes and about 45 seconds. So it's about a 50-minute long album. But I really liked it. If you're a fan of Southside Johnny and Bruce and some of kind of the lyrical storytelling that Phil Mogg did with elements of UFO, that's where John is now. I think his voice sounds great. He's obviously looking after it. We're not going to see tours where he plays 4 nights on a trot playing 3.5-hour gigs. But this is a different Bon Jovi album to what we've had in the last few releases, really. It's introspective in that he's been honest and vulnerable, but I think he's also thinking about how we are. If you're part of John's audience from a certain period, when you listen to the lyrics and you listen to the songs, it will make you feel good. It will make you feel positive. It will make you feel, that the best is yet to come. But I'm reflecting back on what I did and how it felt on a Friday night, getting ready to go out, and the kind of songs and I think all of the tracks are kind of have that feel, this kind of positive, nostalgic view, but still thinking like, shouting into the darkness that the lights are still on and there's still plenty good music to make. So that is Bon Jovi Legendary. 12 new songs out now. Let me know what you think. Be polite, be kind. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of your support. And remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Keep spinning those discs. Please subscribe and ring that little bell if you haven't already. And I shall see you all very, very soon.